Good evening. Yeah, these are my thoughts on the game, the Colorado game versus North Dakota State. So a lot of people that didn't watch the game, guys like Skip Bayless, a lot of analysts today, they're going to rave about Shedeur Sanders' performance. They're going to see the stat line. They're going to say he was great. He was amazing. Blah blah blah. This is what I saw. I saw an FCS team. He was very accurate, but I saw him when he went back in the pocket, he looked very shaky. Every time they blitzed him, they got pressure. He didn't handle blitzes well at all. It's just North Dakota State did not have the talent on the defensive line in the linebacker position to capitalize. They didn't have the defensive backs in the coverage to capitalize to be able to cover enough so they couldn't blitz. Certain teams are going to blitz him every down, and he's going to get sacked 6, 7, 8 times, and he's going to get pressured. And he looked very. When the pressure was on him, it's like he had flashbacks to last year. He had happy feet. He did not look good in that pocket. And this is against a FCS team that's a tough, scrappy team, but they did not have the talent to capitalize off of Colorado's shaky pass defense. Pass protection this is what I noticed. The pass protection was very shaky. Uh, I also noticed their wide receivers were not getting penetration other than Travis Hunter. Uh, he was not getting. They were not getting the penetration. Horn had. It seemed like he had an okay game. I didn't even look at the stats. I'm just going off what I saw. Horn seemed like he had an okay game. Hunter had an exceptional game, and the chemistry is just not there with Shepard and Wester, and they're going to have to make a switch with those guys. Also, I called this in the beginning of the season. I said Wester is not who you think he is. He's not. He's not the deep threat. He's not. He's not that home run hitter. He had like 1,000. He had let's say he had 1,100 yards last year, but he had like 30 targets a game. He averaged like 4 yards a catch, okay, which is like 6 yards a target. And he's not that guy. And that was in the FCS. You think he's going to do better? Maybe because he's not a first option. I don't think so. I think he's a second If he's a second option, yeah, you're in trouble. He's a possession receiver. He's not a deep threat. He's not the home run hitter. He's not the yak yards after the catch guy you think he is. The running game was absolutely atrocious. You cannot ignore the running game all season, and then when you need 3 yards a game, Dion thinks you could just get 3 yards a game. That's not going to happen. Okay, Colorado's running game was atrocious for a reason. They didn't. Not only did they not have, they didn't practice. You could tell they haven't been going live. They haven't been practicing the run. Every time they needed 3 yards, they couldn't get it. They don't have the talent in the running back position. They don't have the attitude at the offensive line position from the reps that you do in practice at 100%. You can't just ignore the run in practice, run a couple runs here and there, and then when the game time comes in, it's 3rd and 3, you think that you're going to get it. It doesn't work like that. If you're not running reps and you don't have that run identity, you're not going to just be able to turn it on. They don't have the talent at the running back position, nor do they have the identity as a team to get those tough yards when they need them. 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 4th and 2. Dion, terrible decision to go for it on 4th down. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do that against. He's done that before. taking the ball in overtime twice. That's a head scratcher. You don't go for it on your own 35 in the second quarter. I mean, that would have lost them the game. Shedeur Sanders, late hits. The problem, I blame this on the fans because they always enable this guy. They said that it wasn't targeting against UCLA. Well, that was a late and unnecessary hit. And the funny thing is, it was right after Dion went for it on fourth down. So you would think Shiloh would want to bail his dad out. Hey, my dad made a mistake. He went for it on fourth down, but at least we turned it over. We stopped them. They're gonna get a field goal. No, he goes for this stupid late hit, and I blame the fans. I blame their fans because they allow it. They enabled it. And every time he did the late hit against UCLA, oh, it wasn't targeting. Yes, it was. You're not going to get away with those hits. You're not going to get away with laying the wood on somebody like this is 1988 in the NFL. You're not going to get away with it. Shiloh, unless it's a running back, do not hit a defenseless receiver. Period. You're going to get targeted. He might even get thrown out of the game. Like, stop doing that. It's not cool. He's gonna hurt somebody. He's gonna end someone's career, and he could end his own career. Like, he's gonna get in trouble if he keeps. I don't have a problem with him being the hit stick against running backs, head on, one. I got a problem with him teeing off on defenseless receivers. And I used to do that when I played football, but back then it was allowed. Okay. And it felt good to hit a receiver, but we were allowed to do it. The difference is the rules changed, and you can't do it anymore. So he's hurting the team, and the fans are enabling it. The fans need to come out and say Shiloh was wrong for that play. They won't do it. Colorado's running game, atrocious. The defensive line, I can give them a little bit of the pass because the problem is when you have your offense on the field passing the ball, your defensive line they don't have time to rest. So I think that they were tired. They actually held up reasonably well given what Dion is expecting of their defense. Their defense was shaky, but I'm not going to blame their defense. But I think they're weak. I think they were exposed in this game because their weaknesses are so apparent. Running game, pass protection, and just defense and coaching. Those are the weaknesses. Yes, they won the game. Yeah, Shedeur had thrown for a high percentage of passes, because they care about his completion percentage so much. But yeah, that team's not going anywhere. And when they go against those bigger defensive fronts and those more talented defensive Big 12 teams, even like Kansas State, when they go against someone like Utah, like even Nebraska next week, they're not going to be able to get away with that, throwing the ball every game. If they're not mixing it up, if you're just going to throw the ball every now and if you can't run the ball successfully, they're either gonna blitz or they're gonna sit back on those passes. They might put extra defensive backs out there. I don't see the talent at the wide receiver. I think the wide receivers last year were better. I would take Xavier Weaver, Travis Hunter, and Omarion Miller over what they have this year with Shepard, Wester. I don't see the talent that everyone's seeing at that wide receiver. I see Hunter. Hunter had to play both sides of the game. I mean, that he can only do that for so long. You're risking injury there. Yeah, that team is if he gets hurt at cornerback, they're going to be in a lot of trouble at wide receiver. So. Colorado was exposed not because North Dakota State almost won. I don't care about that. It's what we saw on the field. If Colorado was able to run the ball, and if they were able to run the ball and they were able to, the pass protection looked better, then I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't say they were exposed. But what we saw, I saw a lot of pressures on the quarterback. Those are going to be sacks next week, and those are going to be sacks against a lot better teams. You got to remember, North Dakota State doesn't have the talent. They are 2 and 3 star team at every position. They're a scrappy team. They were able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides, and Colorado's in trouble, man. If you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run in the Big 12, you're in trouble.